We've got the PowerBook 170 out today. I'm going to show you a really neat peripheral. This is the Zip 100 SCSI drive. For those of you who grew up in the 90s, these are a very familiar sight for you. Or I guess anyone born after or before like 1988 or so. You've probably been exposed to one of these at one point in your computing life. And these were the greatest thing when they came out because it allowed you to store up to 100 megabytes of data on a portable disk like this one. And it was superseded by the Zip 250? I think it was a 250. And eventually they lost their position as external storage device of choice when the optical CDRW drives became affordable. But they made zip drives well into, I think, 2008 or 9. You could still buy them brand new. And the first ones were SCSI, as you see here, and Parallel for PC users. The Parallel version was painfully slow. I mean real slow. I don't believe they made a serial version. I know they made a parallel one. But for PC users who had internal drive bays available, you could buy the Zip IDE, or the Zip Internal. The Zip Internal was a little bit faster than the parallel version, but I don't think it was as fast as SCSI, or it was maybe the same speed. But a quick Wikipedia search can give you the answer to that quandary. But for Mac users, it was typically Zip, SCSI, or nothing else. And here we have a perfect example. I actually found this at work. It was sitting on a shelf. It had been sitting there for over 10 years unused. And here it is. And there is not a device anywhere where I work that will actually connect to this. And all the disks have been long gone, so I'm like, yeah, I'll take that. But anywho, the external units were a little more reliable than the internal ones, believe it or not, because the internal Zip 100 had a bit of a design flaw, where the read-write head would actually snap off. And I believe that was a subject of a major recall or a class action lawsuit. I do remember when that happened. It was a big deal. I personally never adopted the zip drive because I didn't get one when I needed it the most. When I needed portable storage, by that point it was 2001 or 2, and I got my first internal CD-ROM drive. The Zip SCSI will work on any Mac that supports a SCSI interface, and we're actually using the PowerBook 170 in conjunction with an HDI 30 adapter. And I'm actually suggesting that people start using these to archive software because these disks tend to hold on a little long. I mean, you can still get these brand new on eBay. There's a lot of these out there, new old stock drives. And they're great for archiving software. You can also use this as an external hard drive on the Mac Plus, since the extension will work in Mac OS 6. There are some instructions online on how to do it. I'm going to show you briefly how to get the extension to work on OS 7. And if you want to pursue setting one of these up as an external drive, there are instructions on the web, and you can even make them bootable as far as I know. The one thing you've got to know is make sure that the SCSI ID doesn't conflict with one of your external or internal hard drives, and that's pretty easy to figure out. There's a SCSI ID, it'll support ID 6 or 5, and there's a termination power switch as well. This can also be used in conjunction with another SCSI device. It has a pass-through port, so I could hook up an external hard drive or scanner or any other SCSI device. Really cool. Let's fire it up. As a side note, my poor little 170 is going to need a display replacement pretty soon. the corners are starting to lose their ability to switch on and off. There's actually a technical term for this, but I don't know it yet. What's happening is the display, once it's powered on for a period of time, it starts to darken around the edges, and I believe that the actual cause of that is a failure between the layers of the liquid crystal display itself, and it's starting to oxidize from the edges. That's just my quick theory as to why it's doing this. It started, ironically, when I didn't buy the machine, when I got the machine back in 06. It was beginning right in the corner here, but now it's starting to become more prevalent. So I'm going to go on the hunt for I might buy a couple of scrap 170s. One of them should have a good display in it, so here's to hoping. In this floppy disk, I have the extension, which you can download off the web. All you've got to do is Google Classic Mac or PowerPC. No, just Classic Mac zip driver. And there's a blog posting that has a link to the driver. It's in an HQX format, which can be opened with Stuffit Expander. It's a very small file, and I've got it on this floppy disk here, and there it is. Here's the driver, Iomega driver, and all you got to do is copy it into your extensions folder, which I've already done, but it's going to be under System folder and Extensions. If you have an extensions disabled folder, don't put it there because, well, obviously that won't work. But there you go. Just pop it in your extensions folder and reboot, and the drive will work. These are all over eBay, I'm sure, and for not much money at all, along with the Zip 100 disks. So theoretically, you could set up the zip driver on all of your classic Macs and transfer your software in large quantities in just a few minutes. These are very slow, but it's better than nothing. I'm going to show you what I mean. So once I pop the disk in, the computer will treat it as an external hard drive, just like any SCSI drive. When I open it up, there's nothing in there. I formatted the disk. You format it simply by using the special menu and erase disk. And we'll just do a quick initialization on it. And then some lights will start flashing. As of right now, my classic Mac collection is dwindled down to my 170 that you see here. And I've got my Kanga, and I've got that G3 right there, which I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with at this point. It needs a new hard drive, and screw it. I'm trying to focus my collection on just some key machines that I like, and I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff lately. I still have my my G3 12-inch and my 14-inch iBooks, and I'm working on getting another G3 clamshell. I want to buy one of the SE models, the top-end version, the 466. There's still a little more than I want to spend right now, but they're going up in value, so I want to get another one of those. But anyway, so let's go ahead and copy a bunch of stuff to the zip drive, and we'll show you how fast it is. My entire games folder isn't that big. Let's take a look at how big it really is. We're looking at 18 megs. And I've got this folder with a, what is in here? I believe it's Mac Draft. Yeah, I've got Mac Draft here. Let's get info on that. That's another 2.4 megs. That's a drafting application. That's pretty freaking small. I don't think I can do the system folder because it's booted live right now, so I'd have to boot it from another source. I've got my applications folder, and that's going to be, I believe, about 16 megs. And we're just going to copy Adobe Reader, get info. So all in all, we're looking at probably around 50 megs. I'm just going to do a quick shift select what I want here. Let's see, applications, games, everything but the system folder. And we're going to just drag that over. to the Zip 100 disk. There it goes. Just doing a preparation. And we'll get the exact time in a second here. So we're going to start this process. We've got 2,000 items here. And the time right now is 8:36. So, alright. You know what's funny? When you get used to digital clocks, going back and reading an analog clock, for me, it throws me for a second. I have to actually figure out what the time is. It's interesting. When I wore an analog watch, I could just glance at it, split second. Oh, it's, you know, such and such time. But when you get used to digital clocks and looking at them all day long, it kind of, for me, it just throws my mind a little bit there. But anyway, so just thought I'd throw that in there. I'm not stupid. I just don't use analog clocks that much, and or I don't look at them. But you can see it's moving right along. You know, we got some lights and blinking here, and yeah, taking a little bit of time. So if I were to, let's say, deploy multiple older Macs, okay, this would come in handy because I could set up my application list and document, or games folders and all that happy stuff. I can do it once. All I have to do is set it up once, and then I can clone it and just deploy it to all my Macs over the SCSI zip connection, or zip drive, sorry. And that's it. And then I can unpack everything and do whatever I want on each individual machine. I used to do this with SCSI external hard drives, but I would often have to erase the drive for other purposes. With a zip drive, I have a whole box of brand new 100 meg zip disks, so I can actually archive these, put them in a safe place, and I would have all my software there permanently. And all I would need to do is make sure that I have a drive available, and I can set up my machines as I see fit. If I were doing this on an external hard drive, it wouldn't be a whole lot faster. I remember doing this with a 40 meg drive, and it took almost, maybe not quite as long, but it took a little while. Yes, Iomega made a few other devices. They've made external tape drives, and they've made one called a Bernoulli box, which I believe is what the zip drive evolved from. The Bernoulli box used the Bernoulli effect, I believe that's how it worked, to make the heads float above the platters. The zip drives evolved into what we now know as the Iomega Rev drives. And those are little external drive. They were actually more close to hard disk drives in how they worked. It had a little disk pack which contained a motor, or a drive motor, and an actual hard disk platter. And it had a shutter in the front that would open up, and you'd slide the disk in. In fact, I've got one upstairs I could show you guys, maybe in another video. But you pop the disk in, and the heads close in on the disk, and then it starts spinning, the heads start to float, and there you've got your... it's like a modular hard drive is what it really is. Instead of replacing the entire drive, we're replacing the disk every time you pop the thing out. But those are very expensive and costly to manufacture. There were also, you know, if you dropped one, it would pretty much go out of alignment, and it would be useless. And I think they used glass platters in those, so it could potentially shatter. But you can see, I'm not going to call this display cataracts. I'm going to call it degradation between layers. That's really what's going on here. It looks worse in person, I'll be honest with you. But definitely going to have to find another display for this sucker. I mean, the machine's worth every penny, so I'm going to do it. It's in good shape otherwise. Good plastics, good housings, and good trackball too. But Definitely sucks. Still going. And it's now 8:41. So we've gone 5 minutes now. Okay, so we're done. We are done. And it took about, let's see, just under 15 minutes to copy everything. Wow. More like 14, 13 minutes. It took 13 minutes to copy how much data? Exactly. 45 megs. Wow. Well, watch this. It's gonna force itself back. Watch this. Oh, maybe forward. It comes out with such brute force that the entire drive moves on the eject cycle. Isn't that great? Well, thanks for watching. I think that is so cool. It took so long, but it worked. You know, definitely faster than maybe hooking up to an Apple Share. Yeah, an Apple Share connection over a Apple Serial connector. Majiggy. Apple Talk, Local Talk, Apple Talk. Damn. What was that called? Apple Talk. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little slow. But yes, it worked. And, you know, we have a backup copy of all that software, and I need to replace my frickin' LCD screen. But, still a great success. And I thank you for watching it with me. Until